Tonight, the province lifts capacity restrictions for more venues.
I think about just what sports, entertainment means to people in terms of bringing them together.
From sporting arenas to concert halls to movie theaters, more settings will be allowed to return to full capacity beginning tomorrow. Not included on the list, though, restaurants and gyms. Plus,
I feel targeted. They just came for my stuff. They just came for my tent.
2 homeless encampment residents are banned from all city parks for a year. Their lawyer is calling it unconstitutional, but the city says it's a safety issue. And
or their family might not have enough money to buy enough product, and it's not available in all food banks.
The Ontario government is partnering with Shoppers Drug Mart to provide free menstrual products for students across the province beginning this fall. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. 2 homeless encampment residents have been banned from all city parks for a year. They were evicted this week after the city alleged they obstructed and harassed city staff. Their lawyer is calling the decision unconstitutional. But as our Dale Manukduk reports, the city says it's just trying to keep staff and other park residents safe.
That's a property receipt, Kelly.
Ali Khan Pabani was able to pick up most of his things, but some remain in police custody and are under investigation, like a pair of wooden nunchucks.
They just came for my stuff. They just came for my tent. There are over 40 tents at Dufferin Grove.
He was served this notice on Wednesday, informing him he was banned from all city parks and community centers for 1 year. The letter cites 3 reasons, including
On numerous occasions, you were observed harassing, hindering, or obstructing city staff from conducting official city work at encampment locations. Translation, you were holding your cell phone up while we coerced people right before they were violently removed from the park.
You, get up, get out. You got 15 minutes.
the other unhoused man is accused of harassing city staff, using a weapon to harm another park user, and selling drugs. The city says there are several witnesses.
If I'm assaulting city workers, I'm assaulting camp members, these are the things I'm accused of, right? Why were these not acted upon immediately with witnesses and the evidence that you claim to have?
Their lawyer says the ban prevents them from accessing the outreach the city is doing within the park and that it's unconstitutional.
Because of the punishment they're putting on people who've been very vocal advocates for their community, so they're punishing people for basic freedoms of expression and freedoms of assembly.
Both men have been offered accommodations.
It's a revolving door from the streets to the shelters, and you're promised a track to housing in the shelters, but it never materializes.
The city says it has secured permanent housing for 160 people since the beginning of the pandemic, less than 10% of the people they've offered it to. And for Pabani and Dreads, it's their last option.
Camping in parks is not permitted. It is illegal. The shelter system, hotels, the city has done unprecedented amounts of work since the start of this pandemic to make sure that people have safe indoor accommodation.
But both men don't believe the shelter system is safe. After getting their belongings, they drove to Dufferin Grove Park, unpacked, and pitched Ali Khan's tent.
They want us to take the hotel programs where it's unsafe and we're isolate, but they can now advertise that they've won. We have them inside now.
According to the city, non-fatal overdoses have quadrupled per month in the shelter system from 2018 to June of this year. Deaths also went up from 1 per month to 4 in 2020. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
Ontario is taking another step towards getting back to normal, announcing today it is lifting capacity restrictions for some large venues, among them sporting arenas and concert halls, which can go back to full capacity beginning tomorrow. But the same can't be said for some smaller spaces like gyms and restaurants, and that has some business owners disappointed. Greg Ross reports.
It was the news many had been waiting 19 months for.
I'm so excited to hear that.
I think it's time to move forward. As long as you're vaccinated, we have to push through.
This afternoon, the province announced it was lifting all capacity restrictions on concert venues, spectator sports, meeting spaces, and many other event-based facilities.
On a centering pass, Richie scores!
That means professional sports teams like the Leafs and Raptors will be at full capacity for the start of the regular season.
I think about just what sports, entertainment means to people in terms of bringing them together.
But is it safe?
We're in a really good spot in Ontario.
Peter Uni is an epidemiologist and a member of Ontario's COVID-19 task force. He says the key is that everyone attending must be vaccinated, which reduces the risk of spread. He also says it's important to keep other safety measures in place, like wearing a mask.
It's the same as if you want to have sex with somebody you don't know that well, just use a condom. Don't think about it, don't overthink it, just do the right thing.
So what does this all mean for some of the city's smaller business owners?
I honestly jumped out of my seat. Like, I was super excited.
Ian Smith is a franchise owner of Orange Theory Fitness. He had high hopes when he heard restrictions were easing.
Then I saw the fine print.
Fitness centers and restaurants are still not allowed to expand their capacity. That means Smith will continue to operate at 50% for the time being. He says he feels like the fitness and restaurant industries are being left out in the cold.
It's mind-boggling. Like, we've been through this for so long. We've been one of the hardest hit industries, like restaurants have been as well.
Outdoor venues with capacity under 20,000 will also have limits lifted. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Hamilton police have charged a man in connection with an abduction and fatal shooting last month. Fakir Ali was violently taken from his home. His two sons shot. Investigators believe the accused was after money.
I can tell you that money was the target. We know that at this point. The accused was looking for money from Mr. Ali. I won't say specifically how much money, but a sum was demanded for, and no money has ever been obtained.
Police say Ali was abducted shortly before 3 a.m. on September 16th after three men entered his home. His two sons tried to help him and were shot. One of them died from his injuries. Ali was found hours later with serious injuries. 25-year-old Antoine Chambers of Hamilton is now charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and attempted murder. Police are still searching for two more suspects. A Toronto rapper wanted for murder in this city has been arrested in Los Angeles. Hassan Ali, better known as Top 5, is facing a first-degree murder charge after a January shooting in North York that left 20-year-old Hashim Omar Hashi dead. Ali was released from custody in March and was living under house arrest. But investigators say he cut off his ankle bracelet, ditched it in the city's West End, and hadn't been seen since. The 22-year-old was arrested by Los Angeles police earlier today. Police will be out in force on GTA highways this long weekend, making sure drivers are following the rules.
A lot of people are going to be out enjoying the beautiful fall colors. And if you're looking at the colors and you're not looking at the road in front of you, that's where we can have problems.
The OPP launching Operation Impact today. Officers will focus on distracted driving, speeding, seatbelt use, and alcohol or drug-impaired driving. Already this year, there have been more than 200 deaths on OPP patrolled roads. Meteorologist Nick Cernkovich joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Nick, mostly overcast today and mild temperatures. That seems to be the theme of this week.
Yeah, this week has been actually quite warm, well above the seasonal mark. And the other thing that you pointed out, there's the humidity. It's a little bit muggy in the air. If you put a humidex on it, felt like about 23, 24 in the GTA. Daytime highs today sitting at 20 degrees in Toronto. Actually, Ottawa hit 23 degrees. But some very mild temperatures. Some areas coming close to the records for this time of year. Now, there is some rain to talk about as we head into the long weekend, of course. And it starts with tonight. We had a few spotty showers earlier today, but tonight we're looking at rain showers moving into the GTA. And then throughout the day tomorrow, look for on and off showers, thunderstorms likely down toward the southwest around the London area. And then it begins to clear out as we head into Sunday. So progressively getting better through the long weekend. But certainly tomorrow we've got some wet weather in the forecast. 17 degrees tonight, rain showers in the forecast, 20 for tomorrow afternoon. Generally speaking, 10 to 20 millimeters of rain, although some areas could see more. We'll time it out for you and have your full long-range forecast in just a bit.
Thanks so much, Nick. Advocates have been pushing the Ontario government for the last few years to offer free menstrual products in schools. Well, today the province announced a plan to do just that. That makes us the 4th province in Canada to make menstrual products free for students. Ali Chiasson has more.
We have come a long way since Operation Tampon. You know, when you or your friend needed one and there would be this covert hide the tampon operation across the classroom. Well, today we have a male politician standing in front of a display of pads making an announcement about
Period poverty,
The Ontario government has partnered with Shoppers Drug Mart to provide 6 million free menstrual products for students across the province over the next 3 years.
The reality is that some students cannot afford or access them, and this creates barriers.
School boards will receive a supply and distribute to schools most in need.
Menstrual products are, of course, a necessity, not a luxury.
It's a step in the right direction, but we still have a ways to go.
Organizations like Period Purse have been advocating for broader access to free menstrual products as a human right for decades, at $10 to $15 a box.
Their family might not have enough money to buy enough product, and it's not available in all food banks. So people are missing school, people are missing work, or using unhygienic methods to manage their cycle.
Not being able to have the resources to properly deal with it can affect people in all parts of life.
Maya Larondo saw it in her own high school when she was still a student at Western Tech. So she started a period locker.
When I was in grade 12, we were doing locker assignments. I just chose a locker and put a lock on it. So we brought menstrual products. We had pads, tampons, but we also brought things like extra clothes. I told people where it was, the locker combination, and just told everyone to spread it, and anyone who needed something could just go in and take it.
It was in the Macbeth locker for those who knew.
So then we added Advil and Tylenol, and I think we had a couple of chocolate bars in there too. Yeah, just for fun.
This fall, school boards will receive their supply of free pads and eventually tampons, along with dispensers to be installed in school washrooms.
I think we want to make sure, that period products are available to everyone who menstruates, so having them in every bathroom is really important, but it was really fantastic news.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
The TTC could soon be dealing with a staff shortage. The deadline for workers to be vaccinated is quickly approaching. They have until the end of this month to get their shots. The transit agency, one of many workplaces in the GTA that have introduced a vaccine mandate. Lorenda Redekop reports.
A couple thousand TTC employees still haven't submitted their vaccine status. Of those who have, 90% are fully vaccinated. A letter from the TTC to its union advises the upcoming schedule is delayed based on anticipated reductions in available workforce following the vaccination deadline.
We don't know on October 30th what our workforce situation is going to look like. We hope that there's no impact at all and that we're able to just carry on as is, but we do need to plan, again, for those contingencies.
He stands behind the policy.
Everybody is coming into contact with somebody at the TTC who works here, and in the name of safety and health, we want to make sure that everybody is fully vaccinated.
The union has filed a policy grievance.
We don't believe that it should be forced upon them through coercion. We don't believe that anybody should be fired or led to believe that you have a choice between, a healthcare choice or losing your job.
This labor lawyer says almost all his business has turned into this issue, including some clients who work from home.
Because they're closing doors for them by turning these policies into a disciplinary matter. So really, part of it's about health and safety, but there's another part of it which is really trying to convince people to do something they don't want to do by creating a disincentive to refusing to vaccinate.
University Health Network employees have until October 22nd to either be fully vaccinated or be out of a job. A spokesperson says for any who don't get the vaccine, it'll be considered that they've made a choice to leave their position. As of right now, UHN says 97% of its staff are in compliance. The hospital network in Kingston is already cracking down and says 60 staff are on unpaid leave. Meanwhile, the TTC says it will decide over the weekend what will happen to any workers who don't get the vaccine. It's still unknown whether they could be fired or suspended. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. Food banks across the GTA have been busier than ever during the pandemic. And with food prices increasing, the need is expected to continue to grow. And that has organizations that help those who are food insecure looking for new ways to meet the demand. Talia Ricci has more.
A green space lined with tents that are stocked with fresh fruits and veggies. It looks like your average farmer's market, except everything here is free.
We wanted to provide an additional source of fresh and healthy fruit and vegetables and other fresh products in neighborhoods where food insecurity is high.
Food banks across the GTA are seeing a rising number of people in need of their services during the pandemic. Because food banks don't seem to be going anywhere, Nichols says looking long-term at healthy options is vital.
I think when they started 40 years now ago in Canada, people thought it would be temporary. And so the concept of giving people temporarily, maybe focused on, non-perishable foods is okay. But now 40 years gone, people are using food banks on a regular basis, and they've become kind of a staple in our community.
The price of food is rising too. So Global Medic is trying to help food banks with those costs by purchasing millions of pounds of food in bulk.
Then we have volunteers come in and they repackage the food into smaller 1-pound bags that we then get out to food banks across the city and across the country.
Global Medic has plans to open another facility in December that will look a lot like this, but also include space to grow greens.
We're going to be able to, just like the grains, push 4 to 5 times more product out to the system for the same money.
I remember it was this kind of lottery of like, what are we going to get?
Looking back on a time when he used to access food banks, Keith McCready, executive director at Two Spirited People of the First Nations, sees the shift firsthand.
We're really focusing on those items that are going to help people's health, using traditional foods that would be accessible to Indigenous people pre-colonization. So we're really focusing on healthier options like salmon, wild rice, berries, squash.
The organization also grows its own food, and their goal is to see people grow healthy together alongside their garden.
It's not just for people who need the food. If you have the time and resources, come and share with us.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Is the roar of motorcycles or souped-up cars keeping you awake at night? Well, City Hall is looking at ways to help by taking a closer look at technology that might help put the brakes on noisy vehicles. As John Lancaster explains, it's similar to photo radar, except it measures sound instead of speed.
The problem is there. So I think we need to look at all kinds of different ways that we can effectively deal with it.
Ward 9 Councillor Anna Bylau says complaints about souped-up cars roaring along city streets are up. One possible solution, she says, sound and radar technology like this. The device detects noise that exceeds a certain decibel level, takes a picture of the vehicle's license plate, and the driver will be sent a ticket. Some of Bylau's constituents like the idea.
I'd like to get somebody to look after those motorcycles that rev their engines 11 o'clock at night coming up the street.
Yes, it is annoying and you can't sleep at night.
The city of Edmonton tested noise radar cameras last summer. There were problems. The cameras weren't able to clearly identify which vehicle was exceeding legal noise levels. Here in Toronto, there are also concerns about emergency vehicles and how they'd be excluded from an automated ticketing process. Still, Bylau says it's time to see if radar can reduce the roar.
There are different cities doing it. Are they using all the same technology? Is it different technology? Are they getting different results? Can we pilot some of the ones that are being successful somewhere else? That's what I'm looking forward to hear from our staff.
City staff will report back on the technology early next year. John Lancaster, CBC News, Toronto.
You're looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline, partly cloudy this evening with showers developing overnight as we head into the holiday weekend. 17 degrees in the city tonight. Let's go back to Nick now with a look at your extended forecast. And Nick, the mild temperatures will stick around for the long weekend. A bit wet though, particularly Saturday.
Yeah, some wet weather in the forecast, Kelda. Certainly for Saturday. It actually gets better as we head through the rest of the week, but it's a long weekend, so of course, we've got to have a little bit of rainfall anyway. It does come with above seasonal temperatures, though, and of course, I'm going to have your full long weekend forecast starting right now. Here's a look at the rainfall that I mentioned. Now, through the overnight period tonight, we're going to see rain showers moving into the GTA. It's part of this system as it pushes up from the south here. By tomorrow morning, we've got showers across the GTA. Not necessarily steady rainfall, but certainly on and off showers throughout the day. It looks like some models are actually showing some heavier amounts down toward the London area, maybe Kitchener-Waterloo. And as the system pushes through, lingering showers as we move through Sunday morning. Generally speaking, Sunday is going to be dry, about a 30% chance of seeing some isolated rainfall there. And then through Monday, things begin to clear up. Monday actually looks to be the best day of the long weekend. In terms of how much rainfall you can expect, The model's a little undecided on this. Generally speaking, we're looking at about 10 to 20 millimeters of rainfall across the region. That's sort of a broad range. However, some areas are going to see a little bit more. Now, I wouldn't put too much stock in these numbers, say for London at 30 millimeters exactly, but that's a look at some of the rainfall totals that you could see with isolated showers or thunderstorms, certainly towards southwestern Ontario. Speaking of southwestern Ontario, tonight, look for showers and thunderstorms, 17, 18 degrees. Tomorrow, highs of 22 degrees. And again, a bit of a humidex in there as well. Rain showers clearing out of southwestern Ontario, but then they start to push toward the Golden Horseshoe. We're seeing that through the overnight period tonight. And then tomorrow, highs almost at that 20 mark. Kind of depends on where you are, but definitely looking at rain showers. I think the thunderstorms will stay to the southwest, though. About 10 to 20 millimeters in the forecast. Sunday, a little drier. Monday looks good, 22 degrees, and a mix of sun and cloud, and that warm weather sticks around through mid next week. Kelda.
Thanks so much, Nick. Finally tonight, a project that's been 30 years in the making in Port Credit is finally underway. Mississauga is getting a revitalized waterfront. Mayor Bonnie Crombie, developers, and members of all levels of government were there today for the official groundbreaking.
When we realized that we had 250 acres of prime waterfront to develop, 72 of them right here on this site, we knew we needed the right partners who understood our vision, a vision of creating sustainable, mixed-use communities with cultural amenities, public art, parks, and open spaces.
The site had previously been an oil refinery. When it's finished, the Brightwater Village Square is expected to look like this. It will include retail space, restaurants, condos, townhomes, and 150 affordable units. Port Credit has a population of about 11,000 people. Future development will also include an elementary school and parks. The first phase of the project is expected to be completed in 2023. And that is our show for you tonight and for the week. Thank you so much for watching. Shannon Martin has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.